Alright, thanks for coming back for another video. Today we're going to be doing another Mel Minatures. We're going to be working on the FarStar. I mentioned in the unboxing video, FarStar is from the old EU. It's one of my favorite rebel ships from the old EU. It's an asymmetrical ship. It's got a fighter bay on one side, and it's pretty standard CR-90 on the other. The story goes this was originally a rebel ship, was captured by an Imperial remnant who outfitted it with a fighter bay for TIE fighters on one side. The rebels recaptured it and used it for X-Wings and other fighters. It has 3 exterior docking bays as well. There's differing information in terms of how many fighters it could hold, but we're not too worried about that. We're just going to get painting today. So I usually start with a base coat. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. This model is hollow, and the fighter bay, which has an entrance here and one in the front here, because it's hollow, I want to get some paint in there, and so I don't want to have to go touching up any paint that I get on the outside edges here. I am going to be doing a mix of my Lothern blue and some white, just to tone down the blue a little bit and get it in there to hopefully create a little bit of a glow look. If you are able to catch the interior of the hangar bay from the corner of your eye or something like that. I'm going to do that. I've got this one brush that has a long bristle on it, and I'm going to use that to get right in there and try and work in as much paint as I can. We'll see how it goes. Okay, our hangar bays are dry now. I am glad I did that first. Just got a little bit of blue here and there on the outside. It was really hard to get full coverage on the inside of the hangar bay, but I think it's enough that you'll get the effect when you're looking at it on the table. So I'm going to do the base coat for the exterior now. I am going to go with the Screaming Skull again. I really like this color. It's got that off-white tinge to it, so I'm not a huge fan of going bright white, so I do like this, although I am going to try and dry brush this a little bit brighter. So I'm going to go with the Screaming Skull for the base coat, but I'm going to do some dry brushing with the white and just to see how that goes. So base coat. Alright, gonna do some detailing. Gonna go with some Abaddon black for around the engines. There's a lot of engines. I hope I can get into all those spaces. And for the cockpit, I'm also gonna do some iron breaker for the radar dish. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guns. Just to highlight them a little bit more. And that'll be it for this section. Okay, before I go and do the wash, the shade with the Nuln Oil, like I did with the Assault Frigate, I am going to try and line this with this paint pen. This is so small, I don't know how much detail I'm going to get. I have a couple of reference pictures. I'll put those up in the corner there briefly. That's what I'm going to use to try and do this. Some of those details I'm not going to be able to get. This is just too small. I did toy a little bit with trying to mask some stuff, and it's just too small to try and mask it. This is painted a little bit different than the standard CR-90. Doesn't have the circles of red around the sides. It has more of a skunk stripe around the center of the bridge area. I am going to try and do red around the larger hangar bay, like in the picture. I'm going to try and get some red around the engines here. Do a couple of highlights of a couple of panels on the top. And I will probably do the side here, just like the standard CR-90 side. The red going down. And also the red on the neck on this side as well, as per the pictures. So we'll see how that goes. I do expect that once I dry brush this, just like with the Assault Frigate, we'll probably lose a little bit of detail. And I'll have to go back and do this, but this is more of a test for me to see if I can get the detail I want, because if I can't, I'd rather go back now and fix it than after I've shaded with the Nuln Oil. So, see how we can do it. Okay, so I just finished up. It went okay. There's a few places not real happy with it, but fairly happy with it. There are a few spots where I got some extra paint on, so before the next video I am going to go back and touch up with some of the base and just hit a couple of those spots with the red where it got some red where I didn't really want it before I do the wash. So when I come back to do the wash, I will have already come back to try and touch up a few spots with the red, and then we'll get to the wash and do some dry brushing and see how much of this I'm going to lose with the dry brushing. I'm hoping I can avoid losing too much of it. I really don't want to have to go over it too many times. When I did the assault frigate with this, that has a lot more definition to the lines, and it was a lot easier. This had, I'm sure it's because of the size of the model, had a lot less definition in the lines, so it was a little harder to follow them. So that's that for now. Alright, now I'm going to do a diluted wash. I'm going to try and do about a 50-50 water to wash ratio. Okay, we're going to start with our dry brushing. I'm going to use some white over much of the body. I'm also going to use some of the Mechanicus standard gray for the backs of the engines, darken that up a little bit, make it, not exactly, I mean you can tell the colors aren't exactly the same, but a little bit like this, where it's a little bit darker and dirtier in the back. I'm hoping the white will brighten this up a little bit. Also, the red lines are still a little bit on the bright side. I may go back with some of the shade and just hit those really quick, just like I did with the assault frigate, and darken those down just a little bit before we're done. If the white brightens it too much, I'll go back and dry brush again with some of the base Screaming Skull. Okay, now I'm just gonna add the engine glow. Alright, just wanted to wrap up on the FarStar. I've got it here with its standard CR-90. Relatively happy with it, how it came out. The red was actually turned out a little bit lighter than I would have liked. It's actually quite a bit different than the red on the assault frigate, but I think it's okay. I like the model quite a bit. There's only so much I think Mel can do given the scale of this. I mean, these are very small. So I like it a lot. The color turned out okay. It's a little bit less white than the out of the box one. I could have gone with a white base coat instead of the Screaming Skull, but I like the Screaming Skull a lot too. I'm happy with it. The engines, we went with blue instead of the standard orange. I'm just a fan of the blue. I really like the asymmetrical nature of the ship. Makes it fun. It's a good conversation piece while you're playing. I'm going to do a video about just wrapping up my first couple of orders from Shapeways and Mel's shop. Overall, I mean, I'm really impressed with Mel's stuff, but I do have some preferences now and some things I'd like to share, but I'd rather do that in a short wrap-up video as opposed to just tagging it on the end here where people are going to miss it. So look for that in the coming days. Thank you very much. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and click the bell for alerts so that you get those videos as I upload them. Also, a lot of Legion news coming out. I am interested in Legion. I'll probably be getting into that. A lot of painting there. So I might have a couple of short Legion videos coming too, just to talk about what interests me about Legion.